Oh yeah, well, I forgot what I was saying.
You're part of a whole team.
Oh yeah, you're
Yeah,
part
you're
of a
part of the
whole.
whole
Yeah,
team.
you're part of this whole production team. We're talking about animation, by the way. You're part of this whole
Yeah, sorry.
production team, and basically, all you amount to when you get done spending all that time to is just the name and the credits that nobody will never see. So I could
But
totally
see,
understand that.
I understand that, and like I remember speaking to I forget who, but they brought up the point where it's like by working in animation, you're working as a fully collaborative effort, but
Yeah,
it's almost slightly selfish if you want to do a comic. And I'm like, you see it as selfish because you want to create something entirely on yourself.
see,
I
yeah,
don't.
I don't see that as selfish.
See, but also I think the notion of creating the comic book by yourself is relatively like a new concept. And the popularity of comics when they were at their highest point, there's very few people, I can't even name any actually, that did the entire books themselves. Comic books were still a collaborative effort. You had a writer, they had a penciler, an inker, a colorist, a letterer. They were a team that had to put these books together.
True, but it
But see,
was
when
fewer
people,
people involved.
yeah, but
It's fewer
it
people, but
is
it's also
fewer.
a much shorter project.
Yeah, true.
Well, whenever people bring up, say, comics and stuff like that, they usually refer to, stuff from the mid '80s, like from Frank Miller and shit, where they would do everything themselves, kind of thing. And I'm
Right, but
like,
if you look at Frank Miller's thing, a book or whatever, they were so simple. You
Adam
know,
Warren.
if everything is black, it's not. He doesn't need a whole team of people to fill it in with Sharpie.
Yeah,
He can do it himself.
Adam Warren was actually talking about this a few months back on Twitter, talking about whether it's much more obtainable for a company to get one artist to do everything by themselves or get a team. And
Right.
they said he said in the end, I'm going to shoot for the artist who can do everything, everything himself.
yeah, it's hard to convince the companies to let somebody do it on their own because it's almost like we don't know whether you're going to get it done on time, all this stuff, blah 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 blah.
Yep,
Because
Like, is he
it's all
capable of
riding
doing
on
it?
one person.
Yeah, yeah.
yep.
But then like it's definitely doable. And then like I was watching the Bone documentary, Jeff Smith's Bone,
Mhm. Mhm.
and I'm seeing some of the interviews on that, and like they're like professionals and stuff. They're saying back then not a lot of people would do something entirely on their own, and I'm like, yeah, like he actually like he's literally self-published. He actually did the printing himself. He went to some places and found the printers. He did it all self-published. But then I'm like, doing it all themselves, they've been doing it like that in manga for fucking decades.
Yep.
But then I think they were referring to in America, and I'm like, okay, that makes more sense. But yeah, it's like it's doable. Like you don't need a whole production house when one or two people can literally do it.
Yep. That I think that's all just a byproduct of the Western style of doing things. I mean, that's what Marvel started doing. Marvel and DC started doing. So that's where everybody they just I guess they just grown accustomed to having a team, or everybody just learning one specific role and not branching out to learn other roles. I mean, because I mean, when I was growing up, I was just basically trying to say I'm going to be a penciler. Color was not even in my
Well,
head.
yeah, and the thing is, like years later, I was like, wow, I would love to see my stuff in colors, but I don't know any colorists, so I want to learn.
Yep.
And now it's like, oh, I wish I could collaborate more with colorists, but I do when I can, I suppose.
Yep. So I could kind of see like I could see Jay Scott's point. I could also see what he could have missed out on though, because first off, it looks good in your resume if you freaking worked on Wally or something.
Oh yeah.
You know what I
But then
mean?
like, and the thing is like, it from what he's saying, I understand the whole how people in that industry could see working on comics and stuff as more selfish because he almost like because some people it's like I want to be recognized as the person to do everything myself, whereas it's almost more anonymous when you're working within a team because people like when regular people go into the cinema and watch a film, they're like, oh, that so and so did that section.
Yeah.
It's whereas when people read the comic, it's like this dude is doing the whole thing,
Yep.
or every color you see is done by this one person.
Yep.
But
And
it really depends on what the fuck they want to do, I guess. Maybe he wasn't. Maybe he just didn't like animation.
yeah, see, I love animation. I just can't do it
I
extensively.
don't have the patience for
Yeah,
it.
it's just
I will watch the shit out of animation. I don't have the patience
The
to
closest I'll go in animating things is video games, and that's pretty much it. Because with just full productive animations, you gotta do a whole bunch more stuff.
Yeah. Credit to them. Credit to those who can do it all, by
Yep,
themselves. Because I don't have the patience. I don't have the passion. One is really it. I don't have the passion to animate.
yep,
I'm not an animator. I love animation. That's my to watch it. Yeah, to take it in without a doubt. To make it, scary thought. It's mountains I don't want to climb. I don't have to climb, but I
yep,
don't want to climb.
exactly.
That must have been a good interview, Royce. That podcast thing.
I enjoyed it. I mean, you've got a lot of different perspectives in
Yeah,
that
it's
particular-
points of view. That's why.
because
Without a doubt.
because Cheeks has done so much in animation, and J. Scott as a comic artist, he had a time when he was big into it and did quite a lot of stuff, but now he's essentially a cover artist.
Pinup. He's a pinup artist.
Yep,
Right.
pin up.
And Tim Sale's done everything.
So is Kennedy.
And Kennedy's done quite a bit, and he's relatively new in comparison to some of those guys.
Well, more new in terms of name. He's been doing it for years.
Yeah,
though?
he's been
Right,
yeah, he's
but
been
I
doing it
mean,
for a
in
while.
comparison
Yeah.
to those guys,
Yeah,
I mean, Tim
definitely.
Sale especially, he's like,
Oh,
I
Tim
think he said
Sale's like veteran.
20 years older than everybody else that was in that panel. So,
You definitely would have brought something, a different perspective into that. So that would have been sweet.
The last podcast I heard like that, it wasn't a podcast, it was an interview. When Adam Warren, Brian Lee O'Malley, and
Yeah, do you listen to that one?
yeah.
I listened to that one, and that was probably pretty interesting. It was actually really
it's-
interesting hearing the big stark contrast. Because Adam Warren came up in the '80s,
Yeah.
70s, '80s, and freaking O'Malley came in so much later. It was
Yeah,
just
one of
really
the other
interesting.
points they touched on in this panel was whether they think that more so that comic books influence movies or movies influence comic books. And they had some various good points and perspectives on it. Like Tim Sale specifically was saying, because he's so much older, was like, when I was growing up, it was like panels were pretty much all the same size, and they were just side by side going down the page.
Yep, I still have Daredevil comics like that.
Yeah, and he said as time has gone on and the artists have gotten more cinematic, they're pushing what panels are even shaped like, if there even is a panel, things popping out of them, doing widescreen shots, doing all these different things, and they said that if anything, in animation specifically, there's a lot of comic book influence, but it's because a lot of the guys that are doing animation productions are older and big fans of older comic books. So there'll be references to old comic books that they enjoyed. It's what they grew up on, so they make references to it. Whereas a lot of comic book artists, a lot of them are big fans of film and animation. So they'll make references to film and animation that they grew up on, that they like so much.
That actually kind of I can see that working because I like looking at different features in different films and seeing how I can apply that in a comic type of format or storytelling.
Right.
So it definitely makes sense.
It makes part of me makes me wish that that I got into like directing or something, because I see things in my I'm just not able to capture the things that are in my head. If I could somehow draw what I see, even just closer, not exactly, but draw what I am seeing animate and move in my head, I think that it would be vastly different than what I actually draw like.
See, I watch tons of anime, and the difference between anime and U.S. Western animation, anything that's not WB, is anime was always directed like a movie compared to a regular cartoon.
Right.
Yeah, it seemed more cinematic than anything else because
Yeah.
it wasn't a genre, it was a medium.
Yep. Like when Ghibli, when I first experienced a Ghibli film compared to what I was watching, it blew my mind because I was like, this is like a Disney film, or you know what I'm saying? It's like a full feature production. It's not
Feature, yeah,
just
it's a feature.
yeah, and it's not just just straight cartoon type of thing. And I've been watching anime for quite some time at that point, but it was just regular, regular anime on TV. It wasn't nothing too.
Well, like Sailor Moon
Yeah,
and
it
Pizza
wasn't.
Cats
Yep,
and
exactly. So I think that's why I guess I know Jeff really has that eye really well. I mean, y'all can read freaking random views, and it's like I'm watching it move because
Mhm.
he
I'd love to see
has
it move. That's kind of how I see it, though. That's how I
yeah.
drew it, where it's like these are moving, but these are specific moments that I've paused.
Yep. But that's just proof that I could tell his background because it's just like anime. So I mean, it's just different people have different
Views and things.
yeah, and it bleeds into their work or the
Oh,
way
See,
they
that
do
it's
was
things.
what
just
was always
it's
weird to me
influence.
too, because like you guys, I'm assuming. So correct me if I'm wrong.
Stop assuming. No.
Yeah, when you see the stuff moving in your head,
Yeah.
you see it animated.
Pretty
I
much.
see it moving. It's moving.
When I picture things moving in my head, it is always live action.
Really?
It's always live action. I never see it as a cartoon.
Oh, I see it as a cartoon.
Yeah,
I
that's
see it
how I
as
see
a
it.
as a movie in my head every time. I see it as living people.
I've always seen it as a cartoon.
Yep. Same with me. I never really like tried to match it as realism.
Yeah.
But that just shows that you have a different background.
Yeah, see, because when I was growing up, my influence is less from anime. Like I had some that I liked, but I was like I grew up on movies. Like it's harder. I grew up on live action movies.
Yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
So those are the things that pop up in my head. So if I'm seeing, like, for instance, like in the FOA stuff, there's one of the earlier on scenes that's supposed to happen is this alleyway fight. Now I feel like if I could see it as a cartoon, if I could see it as the pictures moving in my head, it would be so much easier for me to capture it. But because I see it as live action, I feel like it's almost impossible for me to show what I'm seeing.
I don't think so.
Nah, you can still do it.
I
I'm
think
just
it's-
saying that's what it feels like to me. I get
See,
so put off by that.
that feels weird because you see it in a live action format.
Mhm.
You say it's harder for you to draw because you see it live action and you can't
I see.
illustrate live action. Is that why you're finding the trouble?
I think
Not
he's.
that I can't illustrate live action, but that it doesn't automatically translate into how I draw versus how I see it.
You want to keep the realism aspect of it for the most part, still, though, right? That's like your main. Is that your main?
I want to keep the cinematic nature to it.
You can definitely illustrate a cinematic look. I don't see
Yeah, you could do it.
how that's holding you back. Just because what you see in your head is live action, and what you illustrate obviously isn't live action.
Okay, more so specifically, I should say, like you described it as when you draw random views, the still images are you watching it move, and you've just hit pause on scenes. I can't seem to hit pause.
Oh, okay. There you go,
I
that's
see
excellent.
the full action, and it's hard
But
for me to decipher where that action,
Okay. Yeah, no,
I see what you're
paused it.
saying now.
what the
Yeah,
most
I see.
essential still image is, because I see the whole movement instead of just.
Just the actual, like,
Yeah.
you can't break down the movement.
It's
basically
harder for
see-
me to break down just
Okay.
the one essential best moment to show, instead of the whole action, because I see it. It's always on play.
See, I
I-
even used to
yeah.
pause scenes, like anime scenes. Like when I watch Gainax films, I always pause certain parts because I just want to see how certain frames look.
Right.
At
I
like
don't even
a
do
certain.
that. I can kind of just pause things in my head.
Yeah, I could pause in my head, but I like to study like certain things, like stretching certain elements. Like Jeff just has this aptitude for doing it like easily.
Yeah,
I'm
you got to
just
keep
used.
in mind, Jeff. You're sort of a freak of nature.
Yeah,
No, but yeah, it's. I think that's where your issue is you can't pause it. Like
No.
you don't know. Like it's moving and yeah, the pause button doesn't exist in your head.
Yeah, I feel like that's a big hurdle that I have to try and get over.
I hope you get over that soon because that would be good. Because
Um,
yeah,
I would actually suggest you try to study like some animation techniques, like in some books. Because a lot of that stuff can be applied in comics, like just starting like startup poses. Not poses. You don't want to think that something's always posing, and that's
but see, also what Rob's saying is like you don't even have to look at animation storyboards, but movie storyboards.
yeah. You can
Right.
look at those too. I mean, just
Because those are basically what you see in your head. You don't see an animation.
yep.
You see it as a live action film. So, movie storyboards.
Right.
So I mean,
They show
yeah.
it's all about key moments.
Yep.
Key frames.
Keyframes.
Keyframes. It's animation.
Yeah.
Yep.
And seeing those keyframes are what's tricky. That's why I hate it when I get a script. Like this is not doesn't happen anymore. Used to happen like ages ago, where it's like there's 7 movements in this one
Yep.
panel.
In one panel.
Yeah. When
I
you
can't
that's
do
how
that.
you can tell when the writers don't
Yeah,
really
they don't
understand
know.
artists.
Yep.
They don't understand the artist's mindset.
It's like I can't show 7 things happening.
That was
He
another
can't run
thing they
up,
talked about
pick
in
something
the
up, and then
panel, too.
jump. Unless I see, the only way I can do that is to do my shadow stuff,
Right.
where I do shadow movements behind,
Yep. The alpha
and
Zism.
yeah,
thingy.
like the alpha stuff. Yeah, where it's like I have to show a whole move, show every single aspect of this move, but in one panel. It's
Right.
like fuck. That's the first thing I say. Fuck. But then it's like, this because it's practically me animating.
Yeah. That's all it is. You just put in the frames in. That's actually the technique people do when they animate frames like that.
Yeah, well, except there's a team. There's all, and
Yeah.
the thing about animation is like when people say, "Oh, I want to do animation." In my head, back in the day, and it's kind of what ruined me from animation, from
The
wanting to
fucking
get into it.
tweens.
Yeah, it's not just tweens, but there's cleanups.
Yeah.
There is colors. They're all different people. Person who animates is just the person who actually does keyframes. Then there's an in-betweener. And then above that, and then not above that, obviously next to it is the cleanups who clean everything up but do everything. And I'm like, fuck that shit. I'm not going to do all that.
Yeah.
Suck my... I'll just do... I like comics more anyway.
Royce, I know a lot. This is somebody that a lot of people they don't really pay attention to, but Akira Toriyama's Dragon Ball Z manga run is
Fucking beautiful.
easily one of the most. It's the way he does fight scenes in it.
He knows how to choreograph fight scenes.
Yeah.
It's clear. It's easy to read, and
Yep.
you know what's going on.
That's why I really envy your guys' ability to get into manga and anime.
Yours is color, yeah? You don't like the fact that there's no color.
It's not even always that.
Or reading backwards?
It's a combination of all the factors. Really.
It's the over the top sometimes. That's what you're talking about.
I just like it's the size format, it's the reading it backwards, it's the lines with no value. It's
it depends on the manga artist though. Some artists do they have weighted lines to them. It all depends on the individual artist.
you know, it's the tan, it's the fucking like gray paper, like almost newsprint paper that it's printed on. It's just a combination of a lot of shit that makes it hard for me to get into it.
If there's
Like,
any
even when they put out Marvel books in digest sizes, I generally can't fucking read them.
you should try to. I think they remade Ghost in the Shell, the manga, to read left to right.
Comic size.
Yeah.
I know they did with Akira.
Yeah, they the same thing with Akira. If you could get your
Yeah.
hands on those, dude, Ghost in the Shell is one of the most. That and the original Dragon Ball Z, the best forms of Japanese storytelling, I think, in Akira.
Fucking Akira, man. That's
Yeah,
all you really
Akira. Yeah. Even if you've seen the
in
movie,
theory, they're all good. I just can't get into it for some reason.
but they
I think
envy
that's so
it.
sucks.
I know
I had-
that I'm missing out.
I hate that you can't get into it because
Yeah, it's
I tell you, if you fucking fully got into it, your drawing would your drawing style and your knowledge behind stuff, your the way you tackle things would be from a different perspective.
And I'm saddened that I can't get that. Like, I understand that it would do nothing but help me, really. I just can't. I can't get over that mental hurdle.
I know if you study Ghost in the Shell, the original, you would learn a lot, especially for the book that you're doing. It's just a lot of elements in Ghost in the Shell that I could see being integrated in the FOA. Like a lot of storytelling elements in it. And I'm not talking about the movie. I'm talking about the original book because the things that Shiro did
The
in it,
movie's different. The movie
Yeah.
is so different.
yeah, the
I
things
mean,
that,
but that doesn't take away anything from the movie either, because I
No,
love
it
it.
doesn't.
yeah.
But
But just studying the panels and how he leads each panel into each other, it's freaking brilliant, dude.
so at some point, I'm gonna have to sit down and tackle it. It's so hard for me.
You make it sound like torture.
It almost feels like it. Like I just can't get behind it. I don't know why it is, but it's not like I just automatically hate anything Japanese or whatever. It's not that.
It's just that you're racist. No, I'm just-
Yeah. It's just the blatant racism that prevents me from enjoying anything.
that was good.
Uh,
Like I'm trying to think of like some really good anime that you would actually get into despite the
but it's so hard, Rob.
freaking. I
Feel
wish
free to suggest stuff.
I still
but
wish you watched
it's-
Brotherhood, dude. Because if you like Soul Eater, you would freaking love freaking
I
Brotherhood.
tried. It was too silly for me.
You haven't gotten into it though. That's what I'm saying.
But it needs to make a good impression, or I just can't stick around with it. Very, very seldomly will I watch something that I hated initially.
Yeah.
I'm all about being proven wrong, but it's hard for me to let you.
Yeah,
if
just to
you
get into it. Yeah.
ruined my first impression of you so badly. Very seldomly does that second chance happen. But it happens with American comics too, man.
Yeah, it does.
People have been trying to get me to read all these other things, and I just can't because I can't get behind. Like Lock and Key, everybody's like, "Oh, Lock and Key is so fucking awesome. You gotta read Lock and Key. All the story's so good." But then I look at it, and everybody has like a dwarf face. Really, everyone's face is drawn like they have dwarfism. Like they have really short, stubby noses. Really
What are you trying to say? What are you trying to say?
Foreheads.
So is this just a stylistic thing that's hindering you? A style thing?
With this particular example, yeah. But it just sometimes whatever it is, I just can't. Once I've established that I can't get behind it, it is almost impossible. Like we have it here at the house because Kanoy bought it, and I still can't make myself read it because I am so turned off by it. And with manga, it's all the factors that go into it. Again, with the black and white and the size and all that shit. All those things are such a turnoff to me that it's hard for me to get it. Even if I like the property, like I loved Dragon Ball growing up, but I'd give you serious money if you could find a photo or anyone interviewed saying that they saw me ever reading the manga. Because I just have never done I've never done it, and I can't imagine that I ever would do it.
I think the closest storytellers that are close to manga style like storytelling over here is easily freaking Ramos and the first Danger Girl. What you gonna call it?
Cliffhanger?
Frank Miller. Yeah, Cliffhanger, but Frank Miller freaking storytelling is
Oh yeah, with
like-
his it's the samurai story thingy.
yeah.
I don't know.
I forgot the name of it, but yeah, it's that's probably the closest to that type of storytelling
But see, like
that
I
I've
don't know.
seen.
I remember being really stoked about this comic that was going to come out, and I didn't really know anything about it except for the posters that I had seen in this comic shop when I was in high school. So I was like, I really want to check this stuff out. And they were for 2 different books. And one of them was Blade of the Immortal, I think is what it's called. And then one of them is called Wolf and Cub or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And the posters looked fucking sick. But as soon as I picked it up, and it was basically just manga but reformatted for Americans, I couldn't read it still, even though it was I'm reading it forward. It was all just scratchy lines, and even though I'm like some of this stuff looks really dope, I just couldn't actually read the story. I flipped through it, saw a couple things that were kind of nice, and then put it down. And I never even went back to see if those were as good as everyone told me.
See, I think it's just a style thing. Because I mean, you like clean looking stuff. That's what you like.
I do like clean stuff.
So yeah, I could probably understand.
But like the closest thing, and it's not actually manga, but the closest thing to manga that I've ever read
Was
are
Empowered.
two things. They're like are Scott Pilgrim and Empowered.
Yeah.
Empowered. There you go. Empowered.
Yep.
Those
Done.
are the
That's
those are
really-
the only two things.
Yeah. If you
that
want to get
have
anything
gotten
close
Yeah,
to manga in
Adam
America,
Warren, dude.
then you're already reading it.
Adam Warren.
Yeah,
You're
so-
already reading it.
But
If
that's
you-
because I love it so much that
You're willing to look past it.
that I eventually grew past it, and I probably wouldn't have had I not been exposed to Adam Warren beforehand.
Have you read?
Hey, have you read Dirty Pairs,
Pair?
dude?
No, see,
Ah!
I won't touch Dirty Pair.
Ah!
It's in color. It's color.
It
It's
doesn't matter.
freaking good, dude.
Wow,
it's-
you were so
It's
missing
what
out there.
got me into Adam
I
Warren.
know I'm missing out, but what I saw of Adam Warren first was this little short one shots he did for
TSM?
Battle Chasers.
Oh, Pet Battle Chasers.
Well,
And-
not even the Gen 13 stuff.
No, and the stuff he did on Gen 13
Okay.
were my first 2 examples of Adam Warren stuff. And
Ah,
because then when I saw
you dirty
Empowered,
missing out
I
on.
knew his style already, so I kind of
Go to Dirty
You
Pair,
are
then.
getting,
shouldn't
you
have
are
a problem
missing
integrating
out
that.
on Dirty Pair,
because
dude.
the characters that are in Dirty Pair turned me off.
Wait,
Design
what?
wise.
Rob, is there a collection of that?
No, there isn't. They only have Sim Hell, freaking Run from the Future. They only have a few of those.
I'd love to get like
You
an
may be
Omniverse
able-
Dirty Pair.
Let me see.
Oh my gosh, that would be the best.
Let me see something. I'm gonna see what's on
A Dirty
eBay.
Pair Omnibus by Dark Horse.
Yeah, they need to have that. Yeah, Fatal but Not Serious. They have the sets here on Biohazards.
I'm
Like,
gonna
I
grab
have
them.
all these.
Yeah, I'm going to comic store this weekend. I'll probably look for anything old school Dirty Pair.
Yeah, dude. Dirty Pair is it's what got me into Adam Warren, and it freaking fascinated me with the storytelling in Dirty Pair is super top notch, dude. I mean, despite the appeal of the characters.
His style, he was like, wait a second, how is no one picking up on this? How is no one
Exactly,
picking
dude.
up on it?
Exactly, and that's what I was feel. That's how I was feeling. I was like, dude, I want to be like this guy because
See,
he's
Adam
guy-
Warren's
he's-
style had to grow on me because when I saw his stuff in Gen 13, I was not a fan of it.
Because you were used to Campbell's take?
I wasn't even used to Campbell's take. The first Gen 13 book that I picked up, I don't even know who the fuck the artist was, to be honest, but they had a very, angular style.
Mhm.
I think they had just done, a one-shot or something. But it almost reminds me of, older Damian Scott or something.
This is the one you need to read right here. You have to go into it with a sucker punch
Oh
mindset.
man, that looks so good.
Dude, you have to go into it with you like Sucker Punch, right?
Sucker Punch was cool, but
Okay.
see, that doesn't look good to me.
Of course, it's okay. It's outdated now, but
So wait, Rob, there's no trade paperback collections of Dirty Pair?
no, they
Fuck!
never made one. I think they made. Let me see something.
I don't think they have the rights anymore. That's why.
Actually, they did. They made
man.
2 of them. I was wrong. It's called Biohazards. That's the one I don't have. Biohazards, the 2nd edition, is the only one I think. The only trade paperback they made for Dirty Pair. And that was his most recent style of Dirty Pair, I think.
Yeah.
The last style of it, where it was like the '90s Adam Warren style. Like I noticed that his style changed like dramatically over the years, dude. Like Empowered stuff looks nothing like his older stuff. His older stuff was straight '80s anime.
Yeah, I fucking loved it.
Yeah, and even like like I say those pencil layouts that someone posted on my computer. It's freaking ridiculous. It's hard to believe that that he does layouts like that.
I don't know. Maybe I'll see if they have like one of the trades on Amazon or something.
Yeah, I mean, just to see where he started from, I would get it just to see it. I mean, if you like Empowered and you just want to see where he started from, but yeah, Sim Hell is probably the one you should read first.
We're apparently gonna look at artwork now. So podcast over.
Thanks for joining us again after this hell week. I don't
Thanks
know.
for sticking around for this awkwardly ended conversation.
It was recorded about an hour after our actual conversation
Yeah.
really ended.
That's hilarious.
Peace.